Thoughts beyond imagining. Can thoughts exist beyond our imagination? Introspectively looking at the question, one might think, a thought need not be of one's mind for it to be, though our mind may not be a requisite for a thought. Is there any thought that exists beyond imagining itself of any mind, or is the thought simply beyond our own imagining? For to imagine no thing, must one lose faculty, and then in the process lose imagining, and then once nothing is imagined, it can't be known, then nothing can't be imagined? To further provoke the question, does observation itself bring about the reality in observance? For if observation is what creates reality, though is not our own observation an observation of reality? Must we observe for what is to be, though then like imagination, is then there truly anything beyond observation? For if nothing is observed, does this then not mean that it is nothing? Then anything that is of observance, or it is beyond observation, which then means it is undoable, then never to be, or is it simply hard to do, or its doing is unwanted, then it is hard to keep observance. Then in this place where nothing is observed, what is done? Where then it is too hard, and reality collapses into the unimaginable, which then, speaking of hardness, itself does nothing, which is easy, where then the things that are all undoable, even by the most capable, reside. Then do we see what is by then seeing this, or is this seeing only in accordance with our vessel and its view, where then the ability to observe creates what is, though our own observation, what creates the ability to create, is created by what we observe, where observation is an adherence. Then we say the thing of most importance, which demands our attention, which is to say is the most real, is the most difficult doable, though then, have we not already said then that the undoable things are done by the most simple? Then this paradigm of perception that wishes to cause self-observation of that which, where what is only because of observation, leads one into the observation of the question, what really is, if what is only because of observation? Then what am I observing then that what is because of it? Then where are all the things that aren't observed if I don't? And no one does. Are they still here in my observation, though hidden in the observable? Where then, if what is observed is, what then has observed me than that I am? Then though was not then this nothing but me? For what else could be an observation of what a thing's totally done but the thing? Then is not what has observed me my own observation, though my own observation a thing of what I have observed, meaning then my own observation a thing beyond my own observation, then not being my own observation, then observation isn't what makes things? Does this then not again raise the question as to then perhaps this observation is beyond my own observation, though not beyond observation itself? Then what truly is observation, if observation is what is? Is not observation, like what was stated before, adherence? Where then we stated that difficult things to observe are what cause attention, if doable. Attention then being observation, observation then being what is, then what is undone, though being done by the least difficult and most easy? Where then is this reality observed, what causes our own observation beyond being from observability? Where our observation is a collection of what's done and not being difficult and easy, what then creates the ebb and flow of reality? Where then, if it is easy to say, where then it is difficult to say we have power over what we observe. For then, what is, if it is only because of observation? Is not there truly anything of perfection that stands alone as eternal truth, not being swayed into being by simple observation? For then, what couldn't be, then what is of less or more value? Where then, it is difficult to say then that we have no power over observance. For then what is what's done, if not by our own strict adherence of doing? Where then, though the place of utmost adherence is then a place that is unobservable, for in its observation are we aware of observation? Now then, with both these things being difficult but imaginable, is not the easy way to observe them, which is to follow them into being, to simply observe them through imagination? Though then does not observance itself, as stated before, desire difficulty for attention, or nothing is observed, then in our own doing of imagining, we observe nothing, for it wasn't difficult enough to cause ourselves enough attention to observe it. Though the most difficult being the undoable, that's not worth doing, for then nothing is which is imaginable. What then gives us the reality, what is where, what is of difficulty to imagine, being simply imagination, where the undoable is done, in it being scattered beyond observation, then not being what is, being beyond observation by what observed it. Then in imagining, then both being difficult, where what is because of observation, and what is beyond observation, then both cause attention and observation, which makes what is neither. Then in observing this, what is beyond our imagining, which then leads us to imagining, as what is should be just observed, though our own observation is not what we have observed. Then in observing imagination, imagination is what is. Where then the place beyond imagination led us to imagine, then making the place beyond imagination, imagination, as that's where it led us to observe. Then the place of no imagining imagines imagination, and imagination imagines a place of no imagining. Then that what is imagined is of no imagination while causing it, that it can say it is beyond imagination. Then it is wonderful to imagine that all these things come from imagination that we observe, until we wish to observe something other than imagination. Then we imagine them not being of imagination, for we wish not to lose our imagination, for that's what it is. Then we cease to imagine for the sake of it, that then our other imaginations become less observable, and only imaginations. Though then what is the most imaginable, then being the least of imagination? Where then the most imaginable is only the observed, and only observed things can exist, for if something is beyond being observed, it means it lacks regimen enough to have stability, then lacking existence. Where then is the attraction to madness, which then this observation then leads? For what attention does madness receive for it to be observed? For if something is mad, then it means it doesn't have to observe, though then mad things have to be taken seriously for them to be called as such. For if a thing is of an age that has no meaning, then it isn't called mad, and is called other than. Then madness and its attraction is to have observance while being required to observe nothing. Where then is a notion that the mad have more to know than those that aren't mad. For do not things work to then gain things to work for them? Then if this thing works but works for nothing, then it must be of what it knows that what it doesn't work for doesn't. Then madness seeks no observance, that it can do what observance would regulate it from doing, as in where we established before that the undoable things that get done are done in the place of no observance. Though then if this is madness, then if madness seeks no observance, that it can do what observance says it can't, then how can madness do anything, if we established beforehand that anything that gets done has to be observed, by way of it having observance to exist, or it is beyond enough observation to have anything observable at all, which is then the observance to the attraction to madness, where then observance is had of things that observe non-observance, that then give us observance of things we don't observe, making what we observe not of our own observance for our own observance, which then, as before, makes our observance of imagination.